guys, welcome to Live Life with Jay. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to build credit, and I brought in a special guest today. Her name is MARYALICE Short, owner of Coaching with Grace. MARYALICE, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, Jay. So I'm MARYALICE Short. I own Coaching with Grace, which I work with clients on personal finance, credit building. I specialize in student loan debt reduction. I love working with clients and helping them live the life they want to live.
And I know that recently you've been working more towards building credit with them, teaching them how to get rid of their collections. Can you talk to us more about what is a credit score and how it works?
Yeah, so there's two types of credit scores. There's the FICO score, which was the original one created by the Fair Isaac Corporation in 1989. And that's the one that's most used by 90% of any loan, business, credit card you're going to take. And then you have the Vanguard. The Vanguard is used by companies like Credit Karma, Credit Sesame. The difference in them is that the FICO holds the entire credit history, and it cycles on a 45-day cycle. And Vanguard uses only a 14-day snapshot. So the scores are going to be relatively different when you actually apply for credit, because the FICO score will, chances are, be lower than what your Vanguard score is showing. And that's just because of the difference in the days that they use to cycle it.
Okay, that's good to know. I don't think anybody knows that there's like two different ones, FICO and Vanguard. Do you by any chance know like which one is used like for Credit Karma? Because I know a lot of people go on there.
Vanguard. So Vanguard is used for Sesame, Credit Sesame, and Credit Karma.
Okay. And what do you consider as like a good credit score?
So it depends on what you're looking at for a good credit score. So it runs in 5 different categories. If it's below 580, it's considered poor. If it's between 580 and 669, you're in the fair category. You might be able to get some high interest car loans or high interest credit cards. But you're aiming more, you want to be in the good credit range, which is about 670 to 739, which is the average American. Okay. So in that category range, you'll be able to apply for a house and get a decent rate mortgage. You'll probably be in the mid-teens for any kind of credit card or interest rates. You're shooting for an 850. That's a perfect credit score in our world.
Okay.
I think about 10% of America falls into that category.
Yeah. And
the thing with credit scores is everything kind of affects them. So if your score drops 10 points today, 30 days from now, it may jump 20. It's just learning the cycle and what causes it.
Okay. I always say like credit score is like a social security number because they judge you based on your credit score nowadays, right? So it's like attached to you.
Absolutely.
For someone who has a poor credit score, how long does it take for them to get up to like the good that you said, like around 680, I think you said?
So I always tell clients that they didn't get into the situation overnight, so they're not going to get out of it overnight. And it depends really on how hard they want to work to get it taken care of. So, and it depends on how much bad credit they have. If they have, if it's the average American that's, in debt, has late payments or something like that, the first thing that I do is get them on a budget and get their payments being made on time. Because what most people don't realize is that 35% of your credit score is based only on you making your payments on time. So if you miss a payment in the last 2 years, that's hurting your credit more than anything else. And so that's what we do. We get everybody paying their payments on time. And then you start seeing the smaller jumps. The credit score is based on 5 categories. Credit history, which is 35%. The amount of debt you have, which is 30%. Credit inquiries, which is 10%. Now, when you have credit inquiries, you have soft and hard. Soft is when their credit card companies or organizations are looking at your credit as a snapshot. They don't affect your score in any way. Hard credit is or hard hit is when you initiate it. You go and you look for a car loan, or you apply for a credit card or something like that. That does affect your score. So if you're getting declined, stop applying for credit. Because once you've been declined once, chances are the rest of them are just going to follow suit and decline behind you. And every one of those will affect your score by 5 or 10 points. The types of credit that you have are very important to your score, and we can talk about that later. And credit history length. So even if you're not using your credit cards, don't close them. Cut them up if you don't want to use them, put them away in a safe. Do not close them though, because the length of history that you have is very important. It's a 15% factor on your score. So it doesn't matter if you use it or not. It just matters that the line stays open.
Okay. Because it shows like the credit utilization. What are some tips would you give someone who has debt in collections and I guess they want to get rid of it to raise their credit score?
Okay. So when you want to get rid of debt and collections, you want to do it in a couple of ways. You want to look at it and see, first of all, what is the age of the debt and collections? Because after so many years, it's going to fall off. And I always say, don't poke a sleeping bear. So if you've got credit and collections that's been on there for 5 or 6 years, and you're not looking to jump into purchasing a house or a car in the next year, just wait, let that fall off. Okay. Because it's going to cause more harm in the long run. But if you have collections that are in the 1 to 2 year range or 3 to 4 year range, if they're under a certain amount, like if they're instantly under $100, contact that company, ask them if they'll delete it off your credit report if you pay it in full, and get that in writing, and then just pay it off. They'll disappear off your credit like they never existed. But you always want to do what's called a pay for deletion when you're paying collection agencies. And it's a simple letter. And we help our clients with that letter all the time. And basically what it is, it's a request from us as a consumer to the creditor saying, we're willing to pay this debt in full if you're willing to remove it completely from my credit report. And the difference here is, if you negotiate with a credit card company for a lower amount, that collection is then going to move into your credit history, and it's going to be listed as it's not going to be listed as collections, but it's going to be listed under your debt as paid via negotiation. And basically what that means is it's going to be paid at a lower amount. And so creditors are going to see that you had a debt and you didn't honor the whole thing. And so it kind of hurts your credit a little bit. So anytime you can do a pay for deletion, go for it. Couple of other things is, never make payment arrangements with a credit card company over the phone, and never give them your personal bank account information. If you have stuff in collections, I always suggest that you have to pay via electronic, always open a separate bank account for the time period and only keep that amount of money in it, because there are collection companies that will drain the entire account if you own a lump sum, or they will take multiple payments in a month, and that will affect your budget. And so you want to make sure that you don't ever give them access into your main bank account.
Okay, that's a great idea. What happens if, let's say for my first question, when you were talking the 7 years, after the 7 years, and if it doesn't fall off, do you go into and dispute it, or do you have to go in to call them?
So if it doesn't fall off automatically after 7 years, and here's the part that people don't understand. So it's 7 years from the last payment. And that's why I tell people, don't poke a sleeping bear, because if you go in and you make a payment arrangement with them, you instantly start that 7-year count over again. So that's why when you go in to make arrangements, you want to be sure that you're going to be able to honor your end of it. So that 7 years starts at the date of the last payment. So you track that on your credit report, and you can pull your credit report at annualcredit.com for free, and it'll give you all 3 credit bureaus. And I always tell you to, if you get them electronically, to print them out and have them in paper form so you can really write on them and look at them. But after 7 years, if it hasn't fallen off, all you have to do is simply write a letter to the credit bureaus, show them the history, and they will remove it. It usually takes about 7 years and 1 month to come off.
Okay. And then you mentioned the arrangement that you're going to pay in full and you're going to get it in writing. Does that come off right away, or do you have to wait a certain amount of months?
So you probably have to wait. If you're paying in one lump sum, you probably have to wait for a 30-day cycle. Okay. But that's why before you make any payments or any agreements, you tell them that you want it in writing. And they can choose to email you a copy of it, or they can choose to send you in the mail a copy of it. But you do not make a payment until you have that letter. Because if you make the payment, they don't have to supply you that letter, and now it's still on your credit report.
And then the same goes for if you negotiate, you still want that in writing as well. So let's say if you do negotiate to a lower amount and that does show up on your credit report, does that mean that stays on there longer because you negotiated a lower price? And do you know like the point difference in that?
No, so it won't stay on any longer than the 7 years. It does affect your score a little bit, but it only affects it for about a 45 to 60 day range.
Okay.
So overall, FICO is looking at the last 2 years of your history to make sure that you're paying and doing all of your stuff correctly. But if it's medical bills that are 5 or 6 years old, they're not really looking at those.
Okay.
So that's why I say you have to really look at your credit and then figure out what's important to you and what you want to do.
Okay. This is good information. I appreciate it. Now, what advice would you give for the actual building the credit? Do you recommend getting credit cards, secure credit cards, or anything else?
Okay. So I never recommend secure credit cards. And the reason I don't recommend them is because on your credit report, even though you don't realize that all the potential creditors that you want can see that you have a secure credit card. And it's not that it's a bad thing, but they know that you had to secure that because your credit wasn't good enough. Okay. So the easiest way is to build your credit to a point in the 6 to 640 range where you can actually get a credit card of about $500.
Okay.
And so basically, in order to build your credit, you need three things. You need 2 credit cards. You need a Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discovery. And it can have any limit on it, even if it's $200. And then you need a store credit card. And you need 1 installment loan. And with those 3 things cycling on time, every month, it will build your credit up. It's that ratio. So what I suggest to clients is, even if they don't want a credit card, there's bills that we pay on a regular basis, right? So we pay our electric bill, we pay a gym membership, stuff like that. So what I have them do is build into their budget something that they're already paying, but we charge it onto the credit card every month. And then when they go to make that, instead of making, say, the gym membership payment, they just go pay the credit card that has the gym membership on it. And the credit card stays in a safe or somewhere where it's not being utilized. And they do this every month. And the reason that we do this is so that we can start building that credit history of payments on time and paying off the card. And in doing so, it will build your credit up. And each month you'll see a 5 to 10 point jump in it. And the jumps all are determined by your whole ratio. So it's hard to say. I mean, something that could give somebody a 5-point jump could give the next person a 15-point jump, just because their debt to income ratio is a little bit different. Okay. But once you start going up, it's kind of almost addicting. It's kind of like a game, and you learn how to play that game, literally.
It's like, how far can you go?
Yeah.
Now, so do you give the same tips for someone who has a low credit score or someone who has a good credit score trying to get excellent?
Yeah, so I do, with as far as the 3 items, the 2 credit cards and the installment loan. And people are like, well, I don't really want to take out an installment loan. So here's a great way to take out an installment loan. Go out to your bank and do a 90-day note. And what that is like, you take $500. And so let's say you don't trust yourself with having $500. take that money, put it right back into a savings account. Every month, you're just going to take from the savings account and pay that payment. And in 90 days, it's gonna pay off. And then I suggest that they do it again. And it makes it an installment payment that they see, and it utilizes, and it also shows that you paid one off, so then it builds up the credit again. And each time you take it for a little bit more until you've got the score that you want. If you have a student loan already, or a car payment, or a mortgage, those count as installment loans.
Okay.
One of the biggest things I always teach clients too is never miss a mortgage payment. A mortgage payment is almost instantly a 100-point drop on your credit score. And so that's a big hit and a hard recovery to come back from.
That's a lot. Yes, it is.
Always call your creditors if you're going to miss a payment, and they will work with you. They will give you an extension. They can do rollovers so that the payment rolls to the end of the loan, and then you don't have a missed payment. So the important thing is talk to your creditors as well.
And you mentioned earlier there were different types of credit. What are they?
So the different types of credit. So you have your revolving credit, which involves your credit cards, anything like your HELOCs that has a set amount that you can spend and then pay off, and the money is still there to spend. So that's revolving credit. And then you have your installment loans, which is basically any loan that you took a lump sum of money on, and when you pay it off, the balance lowers, and it doesn't give you the advantage of you don't have the ability to respend that money. And so when clients are paying things off, I also look at a couple of factors on the revolving credit and their installment loans. Are they comfortable and ready to start paying stuff off and not respend? Or if they see that available balance, will that tempt them to spend? And if they're tempted to spend, then we look at paying off one of their installment loans instead. And the easiest one to do is a student loan. And the reason that we do the installment loan is because they get to pay it off, and they don't worry about having that whim of, oh, I need to go spend money, and they can't re-spend that student loan money. So it's fine. And that's kind of come over history where we've had clients pay off credit cards, and then boom, they had a bad month and they were maxed right back out, and we were right at the beginning again. So I always work with the clients to understand, like, what are their habits, what are their fears, and what do they want to do.
Okay. Is there anything that you would tell them to avoid doing completely?
So I would avoid secure credit cards.
Okay.
Definitely, if you are trying to get credit and you've been declined, stop. Don't keep applying, because if you do it, if it's done within 24 hours for a credit card, if you did 5 of them in one day, then it would all count as one. But if you did them day after day after day for like a week, then you're looking at a hit for every single one of those. And those stay on, the hard hits stay on for 2 years. And there's no way to get rid of them. So yeah, don't want to do that. I always tell clients to, never be afraid to talk about money. Everybody wants to believe that everybody is doing great and there's no financial issues in their lives. And if you look at my post for today on my Facebook page, you'll see that even as a financial coach, we all hit situations where we're like, oh, what do we do? I just spent the last 90 days in escrow selling a house and buying a house. And I had to go through Thanksgiving and Christmas with no credit, living only on something that was supposed to happen within 21 days, taking 90 days. And we had to utilize our 3 to 6 month funds to even survive and celebrate the holidays. And that was because when you go into escrow, almost everyone or every lender will tell you, do not spend any money on credits, because you can totally screw up the loan. So even being an expert at things, you can still, it's planning and budgeting, and you're safe for these time periods, especially during this pandemic when nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's why I tell people right now, money and savings, pay yourself first.
I like that. I like the pay yourself first. So before we go, I did have one more question. What would you say to the people who do not want to open any credit stuff?
So I don't push anybody to open any credit stuff. If they don't want to, and they want to live on cash, that's great. And it's amazing. And people do it every day. But if you want to purchase a home or you want to purchase a car on credit, you're going to need a credit score. Or if you, and you also have to understand too, if you don't have a credit score, even if your credit score is 0 because you just don't have any credit history, it's going to cost you more in the long run, because even your car insurance now is based off your credit score. So even though you have no debt and you have nothing, because you have no credit score, you're going to pay a higher insurance rate, or you're going to pay a higher rent deposit rate. So what I tell people is, if they don't want them, that's great. Just make sure they have the extra cash to back that stuff up. Or I tell them, you know what, if you want to get a credit score and you want to do it right, you can do it and just put the stuff aside. Like if you want to get a mortgage, but you can't afford $300,000 in cash, then learn how to use your credit and build your credit and do it wisely, because you can do it wisely and you don't have to use your credit cards every month to do it. You can just utilize them for what you need and pay them off. And that keeps your score up. And like you said earlier when we started, your credit score has become our social security numbers. I mean, they go hand in hand right now. You need to have them if you want to, do some major purchases and you don't have the cash flow to do it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people do want a credit card because it has like extra protection, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I would get my money back quicker, like if somebody used my money, like identity theft type of issue. If they use my credit card, I would get my money quicker than if they use my debit card.
Yes, exactly.
I noticed that like they'll take much longer, and then that's my personal money, and now it's taken, and now I have to wait longer. And then I noticed like with renting a car, they would hold more money on the debit card versus the credit card.
Yes.
It's like everything is like, it feels like a little backwards sometimes.
It does feel a little backwards sometimes. And that's why I say, it's great if you are one of those people that has the cash flow to do it and to pay extra on these things. But you don't have to. You can do and hold credit wisely, and you don't have to be in debt to do it.
Right.
So you can pay it off every month, and it works the same way. And I tell people go back to everybody has something, whether it be Hulu, Netflix, a gym membership, that they can put on that they're already paying for. So it causes no, and there's no interest. Pay it off in 30 days and there's no interest.
And do it before it hits the interest.
Yeah.
I think it's just more of them having control, right?
Mm-hmm.
They need to learn to manage their money. So as long as if it's in the budget and you have it going into to pay it every month, that they'll be fine. Do you have any last remarks or words or tips or anything?
So I was let me see if I can find it real quick. So I'm a financial coach. Obviously I use credit cards, but this is how I store my credit cards.
Oh,
So it's a Christmas ornament.
I love it.
The credit cards are all chopped up inside of it. And these are from like multiple years. So it's not like I had that many credit cards all at once. But the fact is, if I had a major emergency and I didn't have the cash flow, I could call the credit card company, have a new card issued. But this also stops me from using them for frivolous things that, that I'm having a bad day and I just want to go shopping. Mm-hmm. Because even as a financial coach, there's days that we are human. Mm-hmm. And we fall in those same traps of, okay, I'm done. I just need to go have some shopping relief, and this stops me from doing it. So
I like that.
it make me
I cut mine up and didn't know what to do with them. Right now they're in a baggie somewhere, but that's a great idea.
yeah, these glass Christmas ornaments, you know, and
Yes.
so
Put it in there perfectly. Great idea. Thank you so much. Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
I think I want to just tell people, don't be afraid to talk to somebody about your finances, and don't feel like you're alone out there and that it's only you that, has an item in collections or has, couldn't pay their student loan payment or something like that. Reach out, message us on Facebook, or anything. There are programs out there to help everybody. And, the pandemic has made it a lot harder for people, and don't give up, because, you can recover from this. We can all recover from it. And, there's a way for us to all work together and make it happen.
Yes, thank you. I think it's a good point that to talk to somebody about it, because growing up, nobody talks to us about it. So I think having an accountability partner is great. I'm sure that if people are watching, they're going to have more questions. So where can they find you to have more credit questions or anything else that you can offer?
So right now I have a Facebook group, but I have a Facebook page under Coaching with Grace. And so they can come in and they can like that page and they can message me directly. Or they can email me, and I think you can put my email up at the end of this.
I definitely.
Okay. So that'll work. Or I have a business contact they can text me on or call me on. And just reach out. And I always do a 30-minute free consultation to see first if we're a good fit. And if we're not a good fit, there's plenty of financial coaches out there that will work out.
That's great. Are you by any chance offering any upcoming workshops? I know that you had one recently about building credit.
Yeah, so I just finished up it's actually a 10-week program on how to read your credit report and how to fix it. I think I will be launching another one of those in late February. So if they want to see the promotions that we're running, just have them like my Facebook page at Coaching with Grace, and they'll see all upcoming promotions.
Okay, that sounds good. So everyone, I will put her link below in the description. I'll also put it on the screen. Please join her on her Facebook page and her group, and stay tuned to her upcoming workshop. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe, like my video, share my video, guys. And thank you so much, MARYALICE, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.